The two-pot system that's approaching rapidly and due to hit us early next year is causing some concern in the industry, and we have at this conference looked at a couple of aspects, one of which being the administration capability of retirement funds to handle it, and the other being the investment side of things. But the one, call it the elephant in the room if you wish, is the impact that it has on members. And I'm joined today by Mr. Subedra Reddy, who's the Executive Head of Actuarial Services at NBC Holdings, to talk us through the impact on members, and then what are we doing as an industry to communicate those possible pitfalls and impact on benefits to the members. Good afternoon, Subedra.
Good afternoon, Chris. Great to be here.
Fantastic. So share with us some of your thoughts on this topic, please.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So I think, first of all, I think the two-pot system is a very important tool. With any tool, it can be used for good or bad. So I think what you'll find is that members' outcomes or members' benefits can be better off or certainly worse off. To me, the key is that members need to have enough information so that they can make the right choices, so that they end up being better off. I think if we look at industry, we know that the level of benefits are probably not good enough. And I think that's why National Treasury has stepped in with this legislation. So what I've got is I've just got a few slides just to help to illustrate what impact can there be on members' benefits when they reach retirement age because of this two-pot system. So I'll just take you through a few of those slides, and hopefully it'll just help illustrate that point. All right, so there's quite a few slides which I think Chris may make available at a later stage. What I just want to focus on is that there are two main things that will affect your benefit because of the two-pot system. So I think first of all, what you've all heard about is the fact that you can access your benefit, so withdrawals. So because of this access, because you can take money out, I think common sense will tell you that you have to pay for that. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So because you have access and you can take money out of your fund credit or access your pot, when you reach retirement age, you're going to have less. So what I want to try and show is that how much less will you have? So what will be the impact on that, and what determines how much less it's going to be? And the second important point, which I think is possibly being ignored by a lot of industry, is the preservation aspect. And that's a very, very important aspect that the legislation brings in, which is compulsory or mandatory preservation.
Right.
That will actually help to give better outcomes. So you've got these two forces working in opposite directions: withdrawals, which will reduce your benefit, and preservation, which will end up with better outcomes or members having better benefits.
Right.
So let's see how these two forces are going to work. So this is a member. Let's call him Sipho. He's starting off in a fund. So he's age 20. He's going to retire at age 60. And we'll see he's earning about 20,000 Rand a month and contributing about 12% towards retirement. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some projections for Sipho and see without the two-pot system, how does his benefit look? And then with the two-pot system, how does his benefit look?
Okay.
So let's call this the baseline scenario. So before the two-pot system, if Sipho is contributing at that 12% rate, he gets a reasonable investment return, he stays in the fund right until normal retirement age, we can say he can get about an 85% replacement ratio, or if we convert it to monetary terms, a pension of about 17,000 Rand a month. Okay. So he was earning 20,000 Rand a month, he can get a pension of 17,000 Rand a month, which is a good outcome. If you think about it, I think a member can, if you were earning 20,000 Rand, you can probably retire comfortably on about 17,000 Rand a month. So now let's look what happens if you now bring the two-pot system into this equation. So under the two-pot system, the first thing we're going to look at is the access part. So Sipho can actually now take out a portion of his fund credit. So at the end of this first year, he's been putting money into his savings pot, and he's probably going to have about 10,000 Rand in that savings pot at the end of the year. At the end of the year, then he's got a choice. How much do I take out of the savings pot? I can actually take out all 10,000 Rand that's there. I can take even zero. So I'm not forced to take anything out, but anywhere between 0 and 10,000 rand is what SIPO has available for him. Let's say he decides he wants to take everything, right? Irrespective of what his reasoning is, he decides he wants to take out everything, and every year he's faced with that same decision. So let's just say every year he makes the decision, whatever's in my pot, I'm going to empty it out. I'm going to take that money and use it for whatever reason.
Right.
So what happens to his benefit? So because of that, his replacement ratios dropped from 85% to 57%, or in pension terms, 17,000 rand to 11,300 rand a month. So Chris, I mean, we were saying that you can probably retire comfortably on 17,000 rand if you're earning 20,000.
Yeah.
But on 11 now, it's getting tricky, right? So it's going to be a lot harder to retire on 11,000 rand a month. So this is the impact that probably members are not going to be aware of. That if I keep taking money out of that pot, by the time I reach retirement age, I'm actually going to be well short of what I need in order to retire.
Right.
Now, he doesn't have to take out everything. So SIPO can say, look, I'll take out a portion. So let's say every year, instead of taking out the full 10,000 rand, he takes out half of that. So he takes out 5,000 rand, right? So what sort of outcome will that lead to? It's a lot better than the 100% withdrawal outcome. So he has a replacement ratio of 71%, or a pension of about 14,200 rand a month. So it's less than the 17,000 rand, but it is probably a reasonable amount for him to retire on. So I think it's possible for SIPO to retire on this. And in the previous scenario where he was emptying out his pot and leaving nothing in, I think it was definitely not enough for him. But here, he probably can retire with a reasonable benefit. So what is this showing me? It's showing me that you can actually use the two-pot system and use it in order to take money out to access that pot and still end up with a good outcome. But it depends on how much you take out. So it's critical that you don't take out too much, you know. Remember the two-pot system, or the intention of that access is for emergency funding. So if something goes wrong, I've got money available, I don't have to take out debt. So for example, if I'm in a car accident, or if I need hospitalization, or if I've got university fees for my child, you know, something that's important, that's critical, that if I really didn't have any savings, it's going to put me into debt. So that's the idea here. And I think if you use it for that purpose, if you use it reasonably and don't take out too much, you probably can still get a good outcome.
Right.
So I think that's important. Secondly, the second force that I spoke about was preservation. So preservation means that when you leave your retirement fund, instead of being able to have access to that retirement fund, you're forced to leave it in the fund. So at the moment, before the two-pot system, if you leave a fund before retirement age, so for example, if you're 50 and you resign, you can actually access your entire benefit. Right? Under the two-pot system, though, if you leave the fund before retirement age, you'll be forced to preserve it in that fund or in a preservation fund. So what impact will that have? So firstly, this table just shows the impact of not preserving. Right. So here, that the first line shows that if you, that's the baseline scenario, the 17,000 rand a month pension. The first column looks at years of unemployment. So if you're unemployed for 4 years, so you're out of the fund for 4 years, and when you leave the fund, you take your entire benefit in cash and you use it. You see that your pension drops from 17,000 rand to 2,400 rand. Yeah. And so that's 36 years of working and 4 years of unemployment. So it shows there's a massive impact of not preserving. And of course, if you are unemployed for longer than that, for example, right at the bottom, 22 years worth of unemployment, you see the pension drops to about 1,000 rand a month, you know. So we're looking here at state old age pension levels, you know. So to me, this not preserving is probably the biggest reason why outcomes in our industry are not good enough, you know. It's because at the moment members have access before retirement age, they use it, they rejoin the fund, starting again from zero, and they don't have enough. So not preserving really destroys your benefit. The next slide just shows what happens in the same scenario, but instead of not preserving, you're forced to preserve. So you can see the outcomes are a lot better. So for example, 4 years of unemployment, you've got a 15,000 Rand a month pension instead of 2,400 Rand. So the impact of preserving versus not preserving is massive. And that's why National Treasury has brought in compulsory preservation, because they want to use that to, let's say, offset the impact of the access. So the access reduces your benefit, the compulsory preservation should increase your benefit or result in better outcomes.
I'm with you 100%. Yes.
Yeah. So this is what happens then if we then combine those two forces. So we've got the force of preservation, we've got the force of access. I've color coded it. So the green shows you good outcomes, the orange is sort of medium case outcomes, and the red is bad outcomes. So what you can see with the two-part system or with the complete two-part system, you definitely can still get good outcomes. But you can also get bad or even worse outcomes in the current scenario. So you'll see that the bad outcomes are really if you are using 100% withdrawal. So if you're using the maximum access to your savings pot, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a poor outcome. However, if you take as little as possible from that savings pot, you can see there's a very good chance that you can still get a good retirement benefit when you retire from the fund one day, even if, for example, you're unemployed. So if you look at the middle row and the middle column, it says with 10 years of unemployment and 0% withdrawal, you can still get a 65% replacement ratio. Or if you put it in Rand terms, about a 13,000 Rand a month pension. So that's not bad. So even if you're unemployed for 10 years, you can still get a 13,000 Rand a month pension, provided you don't take out money from that savings pot. If you are taking money from the savings pot, then of course you're now putting your benefit in danger. But even then, if you take out a reasonable amount, so say the 50% withdrawal, provided you're not unemployed for too long, you can still end up with a reasonable outcome. So to me, Chris, this is what's crucial, that this decision is in the members' hands. The members now are responsible for their retirement outcomes in a way they probably haven't been responsible for previously. So you'll know, in our industry, certain funds will have investment choice, certain funds will offer members, risk benefit choices. Very few members will probably take up those choices. When it comes to the two-part system, though, every member will actually be forced to make this choice, So that's where education is key. That's where boards of trustees have a massive role to make sure that their members are educated so that they fully understand, look, this two-part system does come at a cost. And if I use it incorrectly, I'm going to guarantee myself a really poor outcome, but I can use it responsibly and still have a good chance of getting a good retirement one day in the future.
Subedra, yeah, that was very interesting. Thank you very much. I think it was very comprehensive. I think it creates a good balance between, taking the money, if we really, really need it, and preserving. So it really is a nice and balanced approach, and I think we're on the right track. So I think it's very important it's incumbent upon us as industry, yourselves as consultants, actuaries, members, at least administrators, us on the media side, to kind of take this message as far and broad as possible, because I think it's important that individuals know of these consequences. So 100%. Subedra, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it, and we'll certainly chat a lot more about this topic going forward.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chris. Okay, bye-bye.